You know how millennials are known famously for being heavy drinkers? Well, that was me, and I was one of them for the past 20 plus years. So, here are just a few of the things that I did to finally convince myself that drinking is just not cool anymore. So, the first thing I did was really starting to understand the impact drinking was having on my health. I really started noticing things were drastically changing after I turned 35 and I was getting older. So I started researching about longevity and how to maintain my quality of life the older that I got. And I never thought that having to quit drinking was going to be part of that. But the more and more research I did, the more it became so clear and obvious that I had to eliminate drinking from my life if I wanted to maintain a high level of health moving forward. After 35, I really started noticing I just couldn't hang anymore. Even if I only drank 1 to 2 drinks, I was starting to have a hangover that would last as long as a week, sometimes even longer. It was rough. I also started having a lot of dry eye, dry mouth, and the past few years I've gone to the dentist and they've told me, oh, you actually have gum recession, which is what was causing my teeth sensitivity. After I quit drinking, all of this went away, literally. Another thing I noticed after I quit drinking was that I stopped getting sick. Before, I would get sinus infections, strep throats, the flu, colds, you name it. I was always sick. I felt like I was sick probably every 2 to 3 months, having to miss work. And I just always thought that that was normal. A normal part of life was that you get sick. I might have a few days here and there where I kind of felt something coming on, but my body was able to overcome it and it didn't completely take me out like it had in the past. Seeing these tangible and blatantly obvious signs that my health was improving drastically after I stopped drinking, for me was just the snowball effect, and it motivated me to just keep going, stop drinking, and focus on getting my health as great as it could possibly be. I would say it was the number one most motivating thing that I did to keep me going on the path to not drinking. Number two was just really sitting down and doing some math and realizing how much money I was wasting on drinking. During the height of my drinking, I would say I was going out Friday, Saturday night, having 3 to 4 cocktails, but also having a couple of drinks, 2 to 3 each night leading up to the weekend. I looked up my old favorite cocktail. It's now $17. So if you do some rough math, $17 times 4 drinks times 4 Fridays in a month. That comes out to $272 for just 1 month of drinking that I used to do. Oh my God. It's so embarrassing, right? So I also looked up a flight from where I live, Phoenix, to Hawaii. A one-way flight right now on Southwest is $253. So for me, I started really putting that in perspective. How many other flights could I have booked to Hawaii? Just seeing how much money that I've saved over the past few years, it's really been eye-opening how much money I really wasted on drinking. Number 3 was finally admitting to myself that I did have a drinking problem. Now, was I an alcoholic? I don't know, but what I do know is that after I had 1, maybe 2 drinks, I lost all reasoning whatsoever, and the new goal became drinking as much as possible to get as crazy as possible and as far away from reality as I could. And this, of course, came with so many bad decisions that I spent regretting the next day, like just being annoying and obnoxious and loud, calling people from my past that I had no business talking to, driving drunk, getting in a car with someone else driving drunk. And I was just so tired of all of those bad decisions that resulted from me really having no self-control, sometimes after just 1 drink. I was tired of embarrassing myself over and over and over. I was tired of calling out of work the next day. I was tired of missing family events or still going to things with my family, but not being my best self and just being honestly a real drag to be around. So I think admitting that I did have a drinking problem really helped me to stop living in denial and really make a plan to quit drinking, because I wanted to be at my best as often as possible. And I think I spent the majority of the past 20 years really not being at my best and living to my full potential because I spent so much time drinking or recovering from it. Number 4 was me finally connecting the dots that I was using drinking as an escape from quite a few different things. I went through some really traumatic and heavy things in my late teens and early 20s, and that's when I started using drinking to escape the realities of those. Then once I entered corporate America and stress levels rose, I too used drinking to escape the stress of work and life. I've also always been a really shy person and had a level of social anxiety throughout my whole life. So knowing that drinking helped me escape that and get out of my shell, I really leaned on it to give me that liquid courage. So I think really sitting down with this and seeing that I was using it as an escape, it made me understand that I needed to replace it. I was leaning on drinking way too much, and I needed to replace drinking with healthier things. So some of those things have been yoga, meditation, spending a lot of time in nature. I love to go hiking, spend time with my dog. I work on my car a lot. I love to go cruise around in my car, listen to music. I also started therapy last year as well. But I will admit, I'm still working on this. This is a work in progress, and I still have days that are just super stressful, and my brain automatically resorts to just go get a drink. It's going to be an easy, quick fix and allow you to escape from this. So I'm definitely still working on this piece and still trying to discover other replacements that allow me to escape life and stress and all those things. Number 5 is the placebo effect. I had spent 20 years telling my brain that having a drink was a treat or a reward for a hard day's work. And I knew I was gonna have to rewire my brain into thinking something else was a treat. So some of the things I did was just making myself a bottle of water with fresh lemon, fresh orange. Another thing that I've picked up recently is drinking a lot of coconut water. But the thing I think that's helped me the most is eating fresh fruit as much as I possibly can, especially on those days when I'm really feeling stressed. So typically on Sundays, I'll cut up a ton of fruit, pineapple, grapefruit, mango is my favorite. But I've had to rewire my brain and tell it that this fresh fruit is such a treat and something that I really look forward to. I'll make myself a bowl of fruit and just escape for a few minutes and just really, really enjoy it. I will say I've always loved fruit, but I think just using something I already really love to rewire my thinking and my brain has really helped me a lot. I can't stress enough, like this one has really helped me out, and it feels kind of ridiculous to be like, just eat fresh fruit and you'll be fine. I feel like this is probably gonna sound ridiculous to people, but this is just something that's truly really helped me, probably more than anything, is just redirecting to a new treat. And fresh fruit is good and nourishing and hydrating, so what could be better than that? All right, number 6 is that I knew ahead of time that my social life was going to change. When I decided to start on this path of not drinking anymore, I was very transparent and upfront with all of my friends, and I would let them know ahead of time that I wouldn't be drinking, I wasn't gonna be going out and partying. And honestly, everyone kind of gave me a hard time. I heard a lot of things like, yeah, right, like you aren't gonna drink. But I did have a lot of friends come around, and once they saw that I was really serious, they were pretty supportive and open-minded to doing other activities with me, like hiking or whatever, something that didn't revolve around drinking. Or when we were at the casino or out to dinner, they didn't pressure me to drink. But sadly, that wasn't everyone. I did have a very long-term friendship, someone that was very dear to me, and this person just couldn't understand and didn't support my decision to quit drinking. And it was really hard because that friendship has ended. And I'm, of course, still sad about it to this day. But at the same time, it was really eye-opening that someone chose essentially alcohol over your friendship. So that's something that I keep reminding myself when I'm sad or I miss this person, that it wasn't worth it to them to be friends with me sober because they preferred to be friends with me when I was drinking. It's honestly a little bit of a relief that everyone in my life now is cool with sober me and wants to be friends with sober me, and just doesn't have that expectation of only being around me if I'm drinking. This is also one that I'm still struggling with because, I don't go to happy hour with coworkers after work. I still avoid putting myself in situations where I know I might feel shy or uncomfortable or nervous and then order a drink. So I'm a little bit of a hermit these days, but it's definitely something that I'm still working on and still trying to figure out ways to make connections with people without drinking. And I'm not going to sit here and deny that alcohol is very much a social bridge for people. It gets you out of your shell, it makes you more social, and I think it does help to build friendships. And I realize that very, very much. And it's hard to lose that piece of your social life when you don't drink anymore. But when you understand and realize how much better you feel, it's going to become worth it, and you're going to keep chipping away on finding new ways to make friends. The last thing that I did was I stopped drinking gradually. I didn't just go cold turkey overnight. And I think I did this because I needed time to say goodbye to alcohol. It had been part of my life for so long. It had been my friend. It had been something that I leaned on when I needed help through situations. And it just wasn't something I was prepared to completely give up in the beginning. And I did a lot of experiments along the way because I was convinced that I could still drink once in a while, maybe still on weekends, or maybe still have one drink and that I would be okay. But through all this trial and error and just giving it time, I really realized that it wasn't going to work, and it was still going to really, really impact my health, even just having one or two drinks on the weekend. So I think not going cold turkey took the pressure off of me. So if I did slip up or have some drinks, I didn't beat myself up completely for it. And I am still open-minded to potentially having a drink down the road if the situation is right. For example, when I turned 40 years old, my husband and I were in Hawaii on the beach. It was midday, just me and him. I wasn't stressed. I wasn't feeling pressured. It was my birthday, and I did have one Mai Tai. Now, granted, the situation was just right. We had a reservation we needed to get to. I knew I wasn't going to be able to just sit there and keep ordering drinks. It was midday. We spent the rest of the afternoon walking around, and I just felt okay with having one drink and kind of seeing how it went. I do partially regret having that drink because prior to that, I hadn't had a single drink of alcohol for over 6 months. So I was a little sad to throw away my record, and I did not feel very good for a few days after that. But at the same time, just not having that pressure of perfection, I think is something that just really helps me keep going. It helps me to keep striving to be better and better and better and making those stretches with no alcohol longer and longer. So if I could go back in time, I'm not so sure how I would handle things differently. This one's tough because I'm not going to deny that drinking gave me some really fun and just crazy memories for all time, right? I went to so many concerts, I went out dancing, I had some amazing dinners with friends and families, and I admit that alcohol really did add to the fun factor of those things. So if I could go back, I think I would still have 1 to 2 drinks at those special events, but I definitely would cut out the daily drinking and using drinking as a way to cope with my stress and need to escape the harsh realities of some things that I went through in my life. So I would work harder on having healthier alternatives for me to lean on to get me through hard times, and reserving drinking for really only those special occasions, but not allowing myself to lose track of how much I drank and still limit it to 1 or 2 drinks. I also just can't help but think back and have regrets, right? Like, I spent so much money and wasted so much time with drinking, and I just wonder, gosh, like, who could I have been today? Where would I have been if I had focused a little bit more on my career or used that money to travel more? But above all, I just feel like so guilty for wasting my youth. When you're young, you're invincible and beautiful and vibrant, and I could have spent those years living at my fullest potential instead of being hungover all weekend or just not at my best self. And so I think that's honestly my biggest regret, is just wasting so much of my youth and those years to drinking. But you can't turn back time, and I'm honestly really proud of myself for finally opening my eyes. If I was talking to myself from 5 or 6 years ago, I would think I was actually nuts, because I just was that girl that just drank at dinner and went out. And so I'm super proud of myself that I finally have done this. I finally quit drinking, and I feel so much better, and I know that I'm setting myself up for better health down the road. And I think it was worth it to invest the time and all of these steps that I took to finally quit drinking. I hope this video helps to inspire you a little bit and motivate you if you're thinking about not drinking anymore. I hope some of the things that I've done can help you to keep crushing life out there.